everyone, welcome to Pick That One Out, a weekly podcast trying to pick out the fun left in football. Referee blows the whistle, we kick off episode 7. My name is Jack Murphy, with me, assistant manager Will Varney. Will, how are we doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. Jack, I feel like in that intro with the hello, you went really cockney. When you said it, did you clock it?
It can happen.
When
Arsenal win, I go back to the London roots. So.
No, I'm very well, Jack. To everyone listening, thank you once again. Episode 7. I enjoyed episode 6 last week, and we trialled out a new dinner party or the evening club. But thankfully, Monday returns, and we're back to it's an early afternoon, so I feel like I can play off breakfast quite well. But no, we've got a lot of football to talk about, don't we, in this ep, Jack? A lot to talk about.
Yeah, the football just keeps on coming. As you say, we had a slight deviation off of Breakfast Club last week. But you did. If I remember right, you promised big things to the people last week. I'm just wondering if you're able to live up to that this week. Should we get going, get cracking on with it?
Let's get into it. Let's get into episode 7, the Breakfast Club. And I did promise last week we would sort of return to the roots of a breakfast that I made for somebody at TalkSport. And I have delivered this week. This is the story of me making Alan Brazil a bacon roll. Now, if you recall episode 1, I dropped in the story of Big Sam and his sausage sarnie. Well, it was the same day, so you can imagine the pressure of having to deliver for Big Sam and Big Al. And on that day, I was tasked getting Big Al a bacon roll with brown sauce, which I rated from him. I've said it with Big Sam in episode 1. The brown sauce vibe, I thought it worked really well. So this week I have gone, but this is the thing. I wasn't really fussed with the roll, Jack. I'm not going to lie. And I'm a big fan of a seeded loaf.
Wow.
I don't know if you are.
That's recently, the London life for you.
I don't know what it is, but I've been really getting into seeded loaf recently. So this week we do have a bacon sandwich on a seeded loaf. There is brown sauce in it as well.
So he has gone I'm going to analyse this. He has gone sandwich over roll.
Yeah.
Seeded bread, as mentioned. Bacon.
It's smoked bacon. It's smoked bacon, Jack. It's smoked bacon.
What's the sauce situation?
Well, look, for how I made it, I feel like this is the only way you got to sauce up both sides of the bread. You can't just do one. Don't be scrimping. There's no rationing book here in my eyes.
If TalkSport's paying for it,
And so I've sourced both sides. Alan really enjoyed the roll when I presented it to him. He was sat down on the sofa next to Big Sam when Big Sam was tucking into the sausage sarnie. Big Al's tucking into the bacon roll. He really enjoyed it. It was all foiled up. I'd done it as well because, once again, like I said with the Big Sam story, I didn't realise you could just ask for it. I'd actually made it.
Yeah.
But once again, a happy customer, and hopefully this will make me a happy man in this podcast. But no, I think this could be top tier, Jack. I believe today we could reach the top heights.
It would be disappointing if not. You've mentioned the sauce on the both sides.
Yes.
Are we think is it ketchup? I'm guessing.
What is this? You know that I've got a fear of ketchup, Jack. And
of course. What are you doing? Are you brown saucing?
Of course, you've got to brown sauce it. I'm a brown saucer. I'm a barbecue man, and I stick by those rules. None of this mayo nonsense, and especially none of this ketchup stuff going down. Look, that fear dates back. In short, a birthday party. It was one of those classics. You go to Frankie and Benny's, after you've been bowling. And I remember I got an ice cream. I went to KFC. And how you go to Mackey's and they usually have like the McFlurries. And it's like in that tub. And you can't actually see into the ice cream. Yeah. It's in that tub. Well, it's dessert. Everybody's chilled out after the bowling. I think we're about 9 or something. And I go to the toilet, and that was the mistake. That was my error. And I didn't know this would shape my future for the following years to come. But Joe Nichols, on that fateful day, on his birthday, I seem to recall as well, so I don't know why he was so excited, he decides to put ketchup in my ice cream without me knowing. And it horrifies me to this day, Jack. I came back, took a big old spoonful. What followed was a picture I don't really want to paint for listeners or the viewers on YouTube. but let's just say I wasn't very well. And from that point on, I could never touch ketchup ever again. It's something... It's been used against me as threats, actually. I've been threatened with it at uni if I ever annoy anyone. But it got to the point I couldn't even hold a bottle of it. So no, that fear really did take over my life, and it still has. It's still got its hands around my neck, unfortunately.
I think brown sauce is a perfectly fine replacement. I'm sure we'll get on fine with that.
I think I'll get through. I can't wait to tuck into this, Jack. I really can't.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the most entertaining bit of discussion we're going to have today, I feel, because we've got the Prem Roundup now. I mean...
do we have to?
We need the watch time, so I'm going to say that there's good convo coming up here. But I'm trying to think of highlights from the Premier League week, and I think we should just talk about our own teams instead, just because it's what we're going to be most in-depth about and analytical about. So why don't we start with your boys, a nice, big, fat 0-0 against Manchester United in potentially the most predictable Premier League game of the season. I'm just going to read out a few results for you over the season. Manchester United 0, Man City 0, Manchester United 0, Chelsea 0, Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0, Chelsea 0, Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0, Manchester United 0, Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. The Big Six snore fest this season. Manchester United versus Big Six this season. They've lost 6-1, they've lost 1-0, and there's been 5 0-0 draws. Are they scared to lose these games, do you think, Will?
So, I mean, first off, I remember mentioning this in episode 1, didn't we? We spoke about these big games being hyped up and unfortunately not cutting it. And do you know what I noticed? I felt like this week I didn't actually hear much hype about Chelsea United, and maybe that's because people expected it to be a 0-0 after how the season's panned out. Were we shocked? No, we weren't. I think especially in that final half an hour, both teams, I think you're right, looked almost scared to go for the win in case it affects them later down the line. I think it's pretty clear to most people now that City are running away with the title. So it's all about making up those points now for the top 4 positions. And it was like both just really were too scared to make any errors whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, look, there were entertaining moments. There's been worse 0-0s, trust me. There's been worse games. But for that, there were opportunities, even if they were sort of half chances. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a thriller, was it, Jack? It's not one you would really want to stick on the box in about 5 years' time to reminisce.
The only thing I can think of to talk about that happened in the game was the penalty shout. Ball clearly bounces off Callum Hudson-Odoi's hand. VAR is recommending to go over to the screen, does go over. A lot of outside influence, claims Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's changed the referee's decision to turn it over from what VAR is thinking. No pen. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, maybe I'm just biased, but at the time I still don't even think it's a pen. Now, I understand that people are saying with the current rules, whether they don't agree with them or not, it should be a penalty in the eyes of the law, with the handball law. But for me, I think it's so. And I also think that Greenwood pushes Hudson-Odoi's hand up towards the ball. And when you see it, I'm not buying it. I'm not really buying it. And I mean, I think it's quite rich, from all these United fans and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Harry Maguire to be going, it's a clear penalty, we're being wronged. I think it was Harry Maguire a few weeks ago, wasn't he? He was saying, we're not on the right end of decisions.
It's a conspiracy, clearly.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you've been so hard done by, haven't you, all this season so far with the sheer amount of penalties you've had, and for some of them have been very controversial. So look, it evens out, doesn't it? You win some, you lose some. Yeah, that's how it goes.
I mean, that's the famous thing, isn't it? It supposedly all balances out the luck of VAR, but I do think it. I think for me, I think it is a pen, just because I think Hudson-Odoi, the arms are in an unnatural position. It's hand to ball more than ball to hand for me. Clearly hits the hand first. I think that's enough for me. But United didn't deserve to win, so I don't care. Well,
so let's move. So let me move it on to your team then, because I saw yesterday Gary Lineker on Twitter.
Yeah,
he was saying, he was almost saying it was the same as the Ndidi penalty.
Right.
And I completely disagree.
It's not the same. It's not the same thing because it's
exactly
because one's a shot that's been blocked by the hand, and the other's just a ball bouncing around.
Well, and Ndidi was basically waving.
Yeah, and Ndidi saved it. Ndidi basically saved it.
So I was thinking, oh come on! But I mean, and for me that was clear. And what was crazy about that for me, if we're still talking about refereeing, but now in the Leicester game with you, he, as I'm trying to recall, that penalty decision was so clear, but he was told to go over to the monitor. The one before it, where it was deemed outside of the box, he wasn't told to go to the monitor. And I don't understand that. That was
I don't know.
Something we were talking about in work yesterday. Where's the consistency with it?
There is none. We say it every week, there's absolutely zero consistency in these decisions from Stockley Park. We'll talk more about Leicester Arsenal, we'll talk more about the referees as well later on in this roundup. Back to Chelsea, big win against Atletico in midweek in the Champions League as well. Early thoughts on Tuchel then? We've had a few weeks now. I mean, the games seem to feel quite similar, but I mean, the results are starting to come in.
I think there's definitely positives to take aside from the points he's gained. I think, look, I'm not a big fan of a back three. I've never really liked it, but I mean, you see with, say, Antonio Conte when he was with us, we were picking up results and I absolutely loved it. We win a title. I think there's definitely positives to take. I think he's a definite man manager where it's very clear what he wants and he gets it across to his players. I think what will be interesting will be this sort of final push for top four. I think the Atletico game was huge, going off to Bucharest and getting a 1-0 result. It was a fantastic goal, don't get me wrong, from Olivier Giroud. It was a phenomenal finish. At the same time, I thought Atletico were quite poor. I think they started the game and it was like, I was thinking, oh goodness me, they look up for it now. This could be trouble. But they never really threatened Mendy in goal. And I'm watching it here in my room, thinking, they don't look that great for a team top of La Liga. And you see I think the past couple of games they've been struggling anyway. I think the big one is the second leg in a few weeks' time. Because the tie's not done. No. They could easily and if they come to Stamford Bridge and really turn up with the likes of, say, Luis Suarez, Hal Felix, then there's a real game on our hands. But I think for a performance, it was a good sign for me because we won against teams who hadn't been playing great. I understand, like I just said, Atletico weren't playing at their top best, but still the quality they have in their team to come away with a result, I think it's brilliant. It looks positive for the second leg for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So there are positives from Chelsea. Finally, some positives for Arsenal as well. It's rare that we have a pod where we're both smiling, both happy.
I think this is the first time, isn't it?
It's got to be. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if not. I mean, Chelsea have been carrying in terms of the better results of the last few weeks. But I mean, I saw the lineup. We were recording this on the Monday, so I saw the lineup yesterday morning. I was just wondering if it was worth watching. No Saka, no Partey, no Aubameyang, rested after the Europa League, which we just scraped through against Benfica, thankfully. I was fearing the worst, and then you just see out of nowhere some absolutely amazing performances from the likes of Pepe and Willian, of all people that have had their criticism, not least from myself in the past few weeks.
Well, trust me, I've criticised Willian for about 10 years.
Yeah, so I mean, they got the job done, and Pepe especially, it has to be the best performance I think I've seen from him in an Arsenal shirt since arriving. Cedric really helped him on that right-hand side as well. I feel like Bellerin, I saw this on Twitter quite a lot and I agreed with it, that he makes too many indecisive runs and it kind of just means the defender can just stay
Have Cedric and Pepe played together much?
Not really. Whenever Cedric's come in and Pepe's played, Cedric's been like a reserve left-back for us out of position.
Okay.
So we haven't seen it very often, but Cedric did a great job of just pulling the defender out. It was Luke Thomas who Pepe had on toast the entire first half. Got brought off at half time. He just couldn't handle him, and then second half we were able to confirm it. I mean, we saw Willian and David Luiz linking up. It was like a nice sort of Chelsea reunion. Not used to seeing them on the right side. But I posted a tweet following the game that both teams played full strength teams on Thursday night. One rotated in the league. and the one that didn't had real big injury problems in the game.
Yeah.
Vardy was uneasy. Evans had to come off. Harvey Barnes, unfortunately, is suffered an injury that will see him out for the next 6 weeks, I think, or
at least that is. He's having a knee up, yeah.
So, do you think it was actually quite clever from Arteta to rest as many players as he did? Risky, of course, but Europa League is the real final target for Arsenal now left in this season.
You're right, it is the final target. I think there's always that risk though, isn't it? Because if it had backfired, I mean, you went 1-0 down within a few minutes yesterday. And, if Leicester had grabbed another one, for example, then all of a sudden, that team selection may have completely backfired on Arteta and he would have had his critics for it. I think the big thing to take away from this game now is not only, you were resting and sort of in form once again, Aubameyang, and you're able to, like you say, get Nicolas Pepe sort of playing a reasonably good performance. Now you would hope he'd sort of kick on and build from that. And like you say, Europa League, after Thursday, I mean, you must have been sweating on Thursday with that Benfica game and Saka bails you out. I mean, for me personally, I look at Leicester now. I think the interesting thing is now about Leicester after that game. You've just mentioned there, Harvey Barnes out for at least 6 weeks. That's an absolute killer, not just for Leicester, but also you've got to feel for him personally, because he was making a real push for that for the Euros.
Yeah.
I think he would have definitely been in Southgate's next squad for the internationals. You look at Johnny Evans getting an injury yesterday. They're already without James Maddison, I think, for the next month. James Justin's out for the rest of the season. Wesley Fofana's out. They don't know when. I don't think they know when he's back. You look at all these sort of injuries piling up. These are key players as well. They can't be. I'm going to make a call now. I'm going to make a big call. Leicester aren't getting top 4. That's it, done. They're not. We saw it last season with how they weren't able to handle the pressure. I don't think they're going to be able to handle it without these big losses of players. Because I look at that team and think there is goals in that team now? No, I think they. Imagine if Jamie Vardy doesn't show up now for the next few games, or he gets injured. Where are the goals?
Yeah.
Because Kelechi Iheanacho's not going to provide them. I don't see where they come from. When you're relying on, say, Yuri Tielemans and Jamie Vardy for the goals now, I don't see it. I think they could be in real big trouble. I think they could slip out of top 4.
I think it's not a bad shout, to be honest. I think everything you've said there's a real good point. I think yesterday on its own, without Maddison in the centre, there was a real lack of creativity to get through Arsenal.
Yep.
Apart from that first chance, Leicester didn't really create much. So now without him, without Barnes, and a bit of worry in the defence now with no Fofana or Evans, as you say, they could be in trouble. It's especially coming up against some tough teams in the not too distant future. So we'll have to see whether that prediction comes to fruition. I'm sure
it probably will.
I'm sure as everything in this podcast, Leicester will go and win 5-0 in the next 3 games. And
they'll go win their next 5 now, and I'll
title push.
It'll be episode 12, and I'll be on going. So that prediction, episode 7. Let's not talk about it. Yeah, we'll wait and see on that one, Jack. We'll wait and see.
Quick, little one sentence bits for the other teams towards the top of the table. City beat West Ham 2-1, quite a decent game. I thought even though they didn't win, West Ham really troubled City at times, and even in defeat, certainly as we mentioned last week, look up for a top 4 race.
Yeah, they do, don't they? It's concerning, isn't it? Well, it concerns me because they genuinely showed against City at the Etihad as well that they can play, and Michail Antonio getting that goal back, but obviously City's quality comes through. 20 wins on the bounce. That's something special, especially considering at the start of the season this was a team where we were going, I don't think they're going to do it. They scraped that. They got that draw against West Brom, against Slaven Bilic's West Brom, and everyone's thinking they're not up for it this season. Look at them now. It's been an incredible run, and it just looks continual. I don't know who beats them personally, but on the other hand, West Ham completely in the fight for top 4. I think if they keep the players fit, that's what it's going to be about. If they keep the players fit, but. Yeah, David Moyes and Stuart Pearce coming down. What a job they've done there. From a team, at the start of the season, everyone, I think, was going relegation scrap probably for them. I think even the fans will have admitted they would have seen it. What a rise, what a performance they've put in this season.
I mean, even from that first game, lost 2-0 at home to Newcastle, and from there, you're from a Newcastle that everyone was also putting in that relegation fight.
Yeah.
So
and they are in it.
Yeah. So as soon as that result happened, everyone thought, yeah, knew it. These lads aren't up for it, not at all. There's bad morale everywhere. And then they've just gone from strength to strength throughout the season. Fair play to David Moyes for silencing the critics. Me included. I thought they'd definitely be down there.
I thought they were.
Yeah, I didn't see they'd be anywhere near what they're doing at the minute. So fair play to them. Big win for Spurs and Liverpool as well. We have to say, finally, we're positive about Liverpool on the podcast. We can say something decent about them. How long? I'm not sure. The performance was made more convincing in the second half, but they did have to work for it last night.
I'll tell you what. I thought Aaron Ramsdale, the sheer amount of saves he made, and he's somebody who's come in. I've criticised him. I've felt myself criticising him before. I think, and a lot of people have, considering they signed him for 18 million, was it, from Bournemouth, and you're thinking that's big money for him. A Bournemouth team that got relegated as well, made numerous errors, and I don't trust goalkeepers in short sleeves, Jack. I don't trust keepers in short sleeve shirts. And but yesterday against Liverpool, just patting them aside left, right, and centre. He looked really solid. And do you know what that Curtis Jones goal, I'll quickly say, was a typical example for me of proper schoolboy football, Sunday league, when everyone thinks the ball's gone out. Play to the whistle. I remember being 9 years old and being told play to the whistle. I don't understand why about 4 Sheffield United players have just stopped. Yeah. Because I don't know who the player was, but if he doesn't stop, he has an opportunity to either close down Curtis Jones or possibly get a toe on the ball, or at least be alert. And then all of a sudden he's got a tap in. It was poor, but I think that's been, unfortunately, Sheffield United's season, and the drop's calling.
Yeah, I call that type of defending the Arsenal situation, because I feel like I see it with us every week, where even in this modern, the VAR era, where the flag we know goes up late afterwards, every time the ball gets played through and our defence think they've played the right line, they will stop dead where they are and just go, and just throw the hand up, and they will just wait and see what happens. And
this is the thing,
I hate it so much. I was going to say,
you can't do it. You can't do it now, especially with VAR. The linesman hardly ever flags anymore. And it just keeps on running. So why even stop, take that chance? I just don't get it.
Yeah, completely agree. So good 2-0 win for Liverpool there against Sheffield United, pushing them back towards that top 4 race. Speaking of the top 4 race, Spurs will hope that they're still in it. They dismantled an awful Burnley team yesterday, 4-0. Really, really poor from Sean Dyche's team. But Gareth Bale back on it. The curse of the Pick That One Out podcast returns. Every time we write someone off, we write a team off, they're right back at it the next couple of weeks. He's on great form, Will. He's on great form.
Right. Well, let's stop this now. I've seen it all yesterday. Everybody going Bale back. Hold on. He scores 2 against, like you've just described, a poor Burnley team. What was that performance? They go down. They went 1-0 down within about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, weren't they? It was poor. And I mean, look, everyone's saying Bale back. Yeah, he might have got a couple of goals in their Europa League tie as well against Wolfsberger, and then last week he comes on and puts a corner in, and he gets an assist, and it's like he's changed the game. Oh, come on. I wouldn't say he's back. You got to at least give him a couple of weeks, because he could easily, next game, and he's non-existent on the pitch. So I'm not making
8 goal contributions in 4 games for Gareth Bale.
I'm not saying he's back. And I heard the commentary yesterday, they were like, North London is his turf, and he's reigning supreme once again. No, hold on. He scored 2 against Burnley. Let's all just calm down, please. Now, I say let's just wait a couple of weeks and see if he continues. If he continues the consistency, then okay, that's quite impressive. If not, I'm just going to be sitting here like doing that Kylian Mbappe celebration. The crossed arm. Yeah, that's going to be me. I would say nothing.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, it's another wait and see. As someone who I think might have wrote off Gareth Bale pre-game was Roy Keane. We saw this fly over social media. Sky executives all hugging in the back, I'm sure, as Roy Keane and Jamie Redknapp went at it. I mean, Roy Keane
went head to head. Yeah,
Roy Keane was on his usual stuff, his usual nonsense. He just trying to get a bait off anyone, and this time. Jamie Redknapp bit. He bit and
Jamie
he
chomped.
bit hard. He chomped at the bit. I don't know about you. I'm on Team Redknapp here.
I am as well.
Yeah,
I
think Roy Keane is really starting to annoy me with his punditry. I mentioned this episode 1 in my football. Yeah.
Pet peeves,
the things,
I think it
my
was.
football pet peeves, of poor punditry. Everything Roy Keane says has no context to it anymore. It's literally old man rambling in the pub while the game's on. That's literally what it is now. There's no basis for anything. He said, these days, if you're not playing for your country, you're a bad player. What a ridiculous statement that is on its 100%. own. And then to go on further, he said it's the constant going back on himself. So like he'll say, Kane and Son are the only good Tottenham players. They're the only ones that were getting any other top 16. Redknapp goes, well, what about Reguilon? He's as good as any left back in the league on his day. Is that why Real Madrid let him go? Like, that's a good point on its own as well, which it isn't. And Jamie goes, well, hang on, so you're saying he's not a good player? He goes, no, I think he's a good player. Oh, well, there you go. Cheers. Thanks for that then, Roy.
Yeah.
It really annoyed me throughout the entire thing. Well done to Jamie for standing up to Roy. No one else does.
Well, and this is the thing. Do you see it? Do you? How rare is it to see somebody stand up to Roy Keane? I feel like the only person who's ever done it, or where Sky have clipped it, where it's like heated debate. It's Jamie Carragher and Roy.
Yeah.
And I feel like they had a bit of a 1-2, but you could see Jamie Redknapp was actually seething. He was so, but you know what? That's what makes it entertaining, because it's somebody disagreeing with Roy Keane rather than just letting him speak unchallenged. Call him out on it, and that's what Jamie did. Jamie saying Sergio Reguilon, Spurs. You're saying Spurs have an average team. They signed him from Real Madrid, and he's going, like you just said, well, hold on. If Real Madrid didn't want him, then he can't be that good a player. And James going, so you're saying he's not a good player? And he's like, well, he's a good player. And James going, well, there we go. And then you've got sort of Dave Jones' presenter being like, let's all calm it down a bit. But you could tell you didn't want it to calm down, because you wanted Jamie to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Really fight. He was really fired up. That's what makes it such an entertaining clip. And I don't get me wrong. I find some of Roy Keane's punditry entertaining, and I think Sky must have said to Roy yesterday,
of course,
viewing figures a dip in Roy. Can you say something a bit controversial or do something that's going to really rile someone up? And Jamie Redknapp went to Tesco Express and bought himself a chomp from the sweet aisle, because he was proper at it. But no, very entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, he wasn't done there actually, Roy Keane. I think later on in the night he said, if Liverpool couldn't deal with Sheffield United, then they should all retire. About 3 weeks after Man United lost to them at home. It was absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, big seal of approval from the Pick That One Out podcast for Jamie Redknapp. I hope he does it in the future in the studio with him instead of across the city. We'll have to see whether he can keep this roll of form going. Bad form, on the other hand, towards Graham Potter's Brighton, which is the last piece that we're going to cover in the Prem roundup. Brighton lost 1-0 to West Brom. Are Brighton the biggest point dodgers in Premier League history? They do everything. They can't stick the ball in the back of the net, Will, and it's infuriating to watch as a Graham Potter stan.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago I said to you, we were talking, I think it was after we recorded the pod, we were talking about West Brom getting points.
Yeah.
And I said, West Brom, they could beat Brighton. And you went, Potter's Army? No chance. And you know what? It wasn't even about that. I feel like, we saw against Palace, Palace were just non-existent, and they end up winning the game. Brighton can't put the ball in the back of the net. It was one of those classic FIFA games where you have to turn off your PS4 because you're raging, something like 25 shots, and they still lose the game. And then against that West Brom side, 2 missed penalties. It was so disappointing. It was poor. And this is the thing. This is why a lot of people keep giving, and you keep giving Brighton praise, but they're in a proper relegation scrap now.
They are.
They're in trouble.
Yeah, and now I've finally realised that I'm giving praise to Graham Potter, not Brighton. Because this team just is letting him down week after week after week. The state of the Palace game as well, when they lost 2-1. how to concede 2 goals from 3 shots. One thing I will say that is probably something on Potter is that when they do dominate games, there's definitely lapses of concentration at the back when they are counted on. But there's nothing you can do when you get 2 penalties in a game, miss them both, get a tap in, misses it. What can Potter do there apart from sub himself on and try and finish him himself?
No, that's a good point. That's a fair point. And that's like speaking. Do they have the quality? Because I think they've got some good players.
That's what I thought. I mean, like Trossard's very good on the ball. Neil Maupay was fantastic at Brentford. He's had decent spells at Brighton as well, but he's on such horrendous form right now. Can't seem to finish his dinner at all. I think he's the Patrick Bamford of this season, which is the man that gets the most XG and then gets barely any goals from it. He's taking the reins off Patty B this season. But yeah, I don't know what more Potter can do. I think he deserves better than the team. They just have to make sure that the morale stays high. Maybe fiddle around with the front 3. I was saying last week, maybe give Welbeck a shot up front. He's come on. He's missed a penalty as well. Doesn't help himself.
Well, this is the thing now. It's a proper relegation scrap. This is where it's going to start getting really entertaining. You've got the likes of... Because personally for me, I think Sheffield United and West Brom are done.
Yeah.
I think they're down. And then obviously you've got that one spot, that fateful spot for Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton... could Burnley be dragged into it?
I think Southampton maybe could be dragged in as well. And even a bigger rate, it would have to be a massive crumble. Palace with their current performances. It would have to be a huge crumble.
But again, like you said, without Wilfried Zaha,
awful team without Zaha. Brighton also weren't helped. Another thing outside of their control. Lee Mason putting on an absolute disaster class. He lost the game in that moment with the free kick. So I think it was Lewis Dunk that took it, was it?
It was Lewis Dunk, yeah.
Yeah, tried to take it quick. Referee blows the whistle. Lewis Dunk takes it quick, and then before it hits the back of the net, Lee Mason, no, he's taking it quick. Why is he taking it quick? And then he blew the whistle again before it goes in, meaning that eventually it wasn't allowed. It's an absolute joke. If you're not ready, Lee, don't blow the whistle, right? Just leave it. Just leave it out. He's blown the whistle, and immediately they've taken it. And he said, well, hang on, I wasn't ready. Well, why have you blown your whistle then? Why have you? Do you know
what was painful? I watched it at work and I had no audio, so I'm just watching on the screen. I haven't a clue what is going on. I was having to text my group chat, going, "Is anyone? Are you guys watching this? What's actually happening? Why is there this whole sort of, faff going on the pitch? What is actually?" And to see, apparently, Lewis Dunk after the game was seething, like you can expect. He's saying, Lee Mason said I could take the free kick, I take it quickly. All of a sudden he's blowing the whistle saying, no, keeper's not ready. Well, hold on. You've denied a perfectly good goal. And I think the anger from Lewis Dunk was, Lee Mason, why do I have to come out after a game and I have to say, well, Lee Mason should be saying, why did he make that decision? Why did VAR make that decision? Why are we not hearing from the officials? I've always, like in rugby, I've always wanted to have referees mic'd up. Yeah. Just to understand what's actually going on. It not only it helps the viewers and the people in the stadiums, but the players, and it makes the whole atmosphere easier to grasp on how decisions are made. I don't understand still why they just don't do it, because it makes it so much easier for everybody. The audacious thing as well, in the last couple of weeks they've been talking about they want the players to clap the refs on for solidarity for the refs. And I mean, let's face it, no referee, no matter how bad the performance, deserves some of the abuse that they do receive online. 100% no.
But this is ridiculous now. There needs to be action in terms of the quality of refereeing from the top. What? And this is from the very top.
We said about Lee Mason. We've said about Lee Mason, right? Now, Lee Mason, referees can make mistakes. The problem is VAR should not be making mistakes. And I know this is a referee mistake rather than a VAR mistake. But I mean, you've then got, questions have been raised about Lee Mason over the last couple of weeks. Do you just say to him, sit out a week or so, take a rest, because this, you're completely right. Referees do not deserve the amount of abuse they get, whether it's on social media, on the pitch. But at the same time, if you're making mistakes constantly, and he has been in the last few weeks, just let him sit out for a week and just, relax, get his head. And then, like you saw, he was supposed to be fourth official for the Liverpool game, and it pulls out with injury. What? Injury from what? Walking to the monitor. How's he got injured? Like, pulled a hammy? Yeah. Come on. No, I'm sorry, but... No, and that's the problem. Brighton will feel incredibly aggrieved, but at the same time, Big Sam's going to be, licking his lips. That's a big 3 points for them.
Yeah, big win for Big Sam, clawing them, trying to claw them back into any sort of survival race. What a survival, outcome it would be if Big Sam was able to keep his 100%. Record up and kept West Brom up. Justice for Brighton though. If they go down, I think there would be a decent case for Brighton being the best team to go down, at least in recent Premier League history for me.
Possibly.
We'll see. But that could be a subject in its own in the future. We'll see closer to the end of the season. Finally, before we get to predictions, I've been looking forward to this one for the last couple of days since we've mentioned it. A goal that's been doing the rounds on Twitter. Yes. Eli Sam for Notts County scoring one of the most ridiculous goals that you'll ever see. It's so ridiculous I can hardly explain it. Ball comes into the middle from the left, and Sam just nonchalantly sort of spins his back to it, throws the heel at it. It's like it's half back heel, half scorpion, because the heel doesn't have too much lift on it, and the back heel just is enough to loop it over the keeper. I just don't know what to say about it, and the fact that you always see these sorts of goals in like non-league and like nothing leagues, it makes it so much more fun.
But the team being County as well, up the pies.
The pies.
A team that, we've seen when we were in Notts at uni. I love the pies. Neil Ardley's army. And, when I go on Twitter and I saw that it was County, and that video's got for a non-league club like Notts County, and they shouldn't be non-league.
It shouldn't be non-league.
That video's got, 3 million views? That could genuinely be a goal of the sort of year, the
Puskas contender,
contender.
Yeah.
100%. It is phenomenal.
Do you know what my favourite part of it all is? Do you know what my favourite part of it all is? In the replies of the tweet, everyone going, "Oh God, he's going to get a contract now, isn't he?" everyone just saying, "Oh God, now he's going to get the conference. Now he's going to get starts and all."
he could retire here and now on that goal.
He can. Yeah, he's set for life with that goal now. But and it wasn't the only outrageous goal this week. We had Giroud against Atletico, Ali also with another overhead kick in their Europa League game against Wolfsberger as well. So speaking of outrageous, top 5 outrageous finishes in Premier League history. Okay. Now there were so many to pick from in world football. We've decided to narrow it down to the Prem, and even then it was a tough ask. Now we've assured each other that we haven't got any samesies, no snaps in either of ours. We'll have to see if that is true.
We should have 10.
We should have 10 outrageous goals here. And
I've done. So I was just going to say, Jack, I've done mine from sort of ones that I've seen on TV that I was alive for, that I can actually remember. That's what I've done mine for.
4 out of 5 of those are the same for me. One of them is a classic. Okay, so why don't you rattle your list off, Will, starting with big number 5. Let's hear it.
Yes, number 5 was Robin van Persie versus Aston Villa. It was when he was at United. It was that final game, I remember, where they would, if they won, they win the title. And I can remember him in that sort of like picnic shirt, that picnic kit, like a tablecloth. And that the ball pinged over the top. I think it was Wayne Rooney. Over the top, over the head of Ron Vlaar. He's running through treacle. Robin van Persie just hits that left foot on the volley, sweet as a nut. And I think it was Brad Guzan goal, had absolutely no chance. Wasn't getting anywhere near it. It was almost just watching it like, that's in, that's a goal. What a finish that was. The connection was absolutely beautiful. That has to be my number 5.
Nice. Actually, you know what? Let's just rattle off your 5. We'll go each 5 at a time. We'll rattle off your 5 in full, I'm saying.
Okay.
So let's hit us with number 4. Hit us with number 4.
My number 4 is Dele Alli versus Crystal Palace when he was at Spurs. That was an incredible finish. The technique, the control, absolute beauty. I would then say my number 3. Now, this doesn't get a lot of talk, I don't feel like. It's Kasami when he was at Fulham versus Palace.
Oh, yeah, no, I do remember that. Was that the looping over the head volley at the edge of the box?
Ball up the line, hit with some pace, right? Hit with real pace. He hits it on the volley, just absolutely whacks it across the keeper into the net. It's another one against Palace, but that goal doesn't get enough credit. It's an absolute screamer.
Yeah,
how that goes in. Brilliant.
Pick.
Number 2 is Gareth Bale. He's in it, and it's his goal against Stoke. I absolutely love this goal. I absolutely love it. The ball in from Aaron Lennon. It's into the box, and on his left foot, it's such a controlled volley that it almost just swerves in midair into the top right hand corner. It is incredible. It's in that nice light blue strip. I remember. It's spiky hair Bale, and he does the old heart as well. Brings that out for good luck. It was it was just the control on the finish on that volley. Brilliant goal for me. That has to be number 2.
Good pick. And let's hear it. Number 1.
Number 1, and this one, I was there. I saw it live.
With his own eyes.
Cisse versus Chelsea.
Oh.
And I remember we're already 1-0 down, and he scored a quality goal in the first half, I think it was. And I'm thinking, and that was at the opposite end.
Yeah.
So I'm at the end that he's shooting towards in the second half. I remember it's added time. Dad's getting on at me. We need to go. We've got to get the train back. I think, oh, right. As I'm standing up, I look and Papi Cisso's on the other side of the pitch. He just swazzes it. Absolutely slaps the ball, swazzes it. It curves mid-air, just loops over Petr Cech's left-hand shoulder. I couldn't believe that I saw it. I don't think the whole stadium could believe what they'd seen. I think Didier Drogba was clapping it on the touchline. It was incredible. Newcastle fans went crazy. I gave it the old... Yeah, it's time to go, Dad. And we walked out of the game after a 2-0 loss to Newcastle. But Papi Cisse, what a goal that was. That is a unique, outrageous, historic goal. That's my number 1.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly good pick. The banana curve of the shot, as it was
bizarre,
mentioned,
yeah.
It was so, as you say, unique. You've never really seen one like that outside the box from such a weird angle. And for it to curve over Cech. Cech's got no chance. He's got absolutely no chance.
He was on the far side of the pitch to me, and I've seen it loop, and I thought, why has he even tried that? I thought, that's going wide. And then you just see it, top corner, and you just think, okay, yeah, that's game over.
Yeah, and I will say, out of all of them, I think that one is the one that I would have had somewhere in my top 5.
Okay, let's hear yours then, Jack.
If we weren't doing any matches. But here's my top 5. I've gone purely off the audacity, how outrageous it is, and I'm purely basing it off the finish itself. Here we go then. Number 5, Dimitri Payet's free kick against Crystal Palace. There's like 8 people in the wall, Will. There's 8 people in the wall, so Hennessy can protect his side. Payet, the only thing Payet can do is hit that little postage stamp right in Hennessy's side, and that's exactly where he puts it. It's inch perfect technique, and the wall being the size it is makes it a fantastic vigil. Unbelievable goal. What a player. Number 4, Robin van Persie's flying volley against Charlton. This is better than the Villa one for me. Villa one better moment because for the neutral as it wins Man United the league, but this is the better goal for me. Aboué flies down the right hand side, ball brought to the edge of the box. Van Persie races towards it and just clatters it with the most beautiful contact in mid-air. Flies into the top corner. But what makes this one so special is the height of the ball. As Van Persie hits it, he almost contorts his body to get his foot up to get the contact on it. Rattles it perfectly, and that makes it as good as it is. That's number 4 for me. Number 3, Matty Taylor's volley against Everton back in the mid-2000s. A throwback one here. Pompey legend Matty Taylor. Couple reasons. Firstly, it's a volley from 40 yards out. Loops in. No trouble whatsoever. No keeper slips like a lot of these halfway line goals.
Very true.
It just purely beats the keeper as it is, as a volley. Secondly, he proved it wasn't a fluke because he did the exact same goal the year before against Sunderland, but like 5 yards further forward. If it was any other player, I'd say it's not unique enough. But Matty Taylor's the only man that's done it twice. proves he had something about that in his locker. Fair play to Matty. You get number 3, bronze spot in my list. Number 2, here's the classic. Paolo Di Canio, scissor kick against Wimbledon. The technique is just absolute perfection. The timing, again, simply perfect. For its time, one of the greatest Prem goals ever. An absolute classic of the genre. Ball flies over and he scissor kicks it. Again, timing, you couldn't time it any better. Outside of the boot, Wimbledon keeper doesn't have an absolute hope in hell of reaching it. And also, anyone that does that technique now, it's known as the Di Canio. So he deserves some credit for it. Fair play to him. Number 1, it's Olivier Giroud's. It's Olivier Giroud's scorpion kick. Against Crystal Palace, the Scorpion King. The best of the small sample of scorpion kicks, in my opinion. I'm doing this purely on the finish, but the build-up play was incredible too, to get up the pitch. Then Alexis underhits a cross into the box. Giroud connects flush with a standing scorpion kick, hits off the back of his heel, off the bar to make it even more visually appealing and into the back of the net. That's my top 5. That's my number 1. Absolutely
that would
outrageous.
definitely have been in mine. The Ollie one would have definitely been in mine. That was an outrageous finish. That deserved the Puskas Award when it won it. That was... Yeah, but I swear you can look through a compilation. You can look through just all of Giroud's goals, and at the end of his career, people would be like, "This guy has to be on the same level as like Ronaldinho or Messi just for the pure goals that he scored that are just incredible to watch."
Yeah, I think after his goal against Atletico, I saw an Arsenal Twitter account saying, how is my kid when he grows up going to see this goal, and how's he going to believe me when I say he wasn't that good?
Exactly. Well, he's good, but nothing on that level that his goals say.
2 great lists, I would say. 2 really, really good lists. Ones I will make sure to keep an eye on the TikTok. I'll mention that at the end of the pod, but expect them on there within the next week or 2. I'd say definitely. Predictions time before we close out the pod. Will, I'm not sure if you had an eye on these predictions. Not a great week for you. 3-1 to me makes it 14 apiece in the table.
Oh goodness me! I'm just making it interesting. I'm just making it interesting. That's all I'm doing it for.
Not a great week for either of us, but I banged the 2-0 Man City against Mönchengladbach, which got me the 3 points. Easy stuff when you think about it. 3 Premier League games for us this week in a sort of full week of Premier League action. Yeah. First up, it's your boys once again. This time at Anfield, Liverpool, Chelsea. Why don't you start us off, mate? What do you think this one's going to do?
Interesting game to call this one. You know what? I feel like Liverpool, after their victory, us drawing against, I think it's going to be a tight, cagey affair. Like we said with the big games, there is not going to be tons of goals in this one. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go for a draw. I think Tuchel's going to play it safe. Goal scorer, I can't bet. I can't put anything on a goal scorer of Chelsea because I just don't have a clue. I don't know. I have no idea what this starting 11 will be. Who even is a complete goal scorer for us. So I'm going to go Sadio Mane. He scored a double against us in the fixture early in the season when Kepa had me with my head in my hands. So I'm going to go Sadio Mane score 1-0.
Okay. So as obviously we've mentioned the Chelsea Man United game. We were unlucky not to have that in the predictions. It was an easy 3 points there waiting to be had. I'm not going to waste that chance this time. I was tempted with the 0-0, but Liverpool's defence is a little bit. No, I'm sticking with it. 0-0. Okay. I'm playing with the odds. I can't list off all those 0-0s from the top 6 games earlier, and not. I'm a stats man. I have to play by the stats. I'm going 0-0. Okay. So obviously NA for the goal scorer for me. Okay. Second game, the Point Dodgers versus the Crocked lot. It's Brighton Leicester in what could be a really interesting game actually for both ends of the table. I don't know if it's me laying my heart on the line for Potter earlier on, but I want to give Brighton a win here, and we mentioned Leicester struggling earlier as well. If Brighton can create as they have done, and I've say this every single week with Brighton, if they can create the chances, surely they go in at some point. I'm going 2-1 Brighton.
Okay.
I'm going 2-1 Brighton, but my goal scorer is still going to be Jamie Vardy. because it seems like a game that he can really bounce on the counter. Obviously, the score prediction therefore could be completely out the window, but I can see Vardy getting at least a chance on the break with Brighton in controlled possession. So I'm going Vardy's my score 2-1 to the Seagulls.
Okay, I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay.
I'm going to go draw in this one, and I completely agree. I said it earlier about Leicester, the injuries that they have. I see a lack of goals in this team. And, like we've mentioned, Brighton haven't been playing badly. They just haven't been getting results. They need a result at home. I think it's going to be 1-1. And I'm going to go with a Leicester goal scorer. I'm going to go Yuri Tielemans to score. I feel like it's either him or Vardy. You've already gone Vardy. I'll go Tielemans. Why not?
Fair enough. Can't blame that logic. Finally, the Manc Derby, Man City, Manchester United at the weekend. Will, what are you saying?
I can't, 20 wins on the bounce. How can I go against City here in the derby? I obviously know that Derby can throw results up in the air, but for this, I just think the City team is way too strong. The title's calling. I'm going to go 2-1 Man City. And goal scorer wise, for the last few weeks, every time it's been Man City, I've gone with Riyad Mahrez to score, and he hasn't. So this week I'm going to go Raheem Sterling. Okay. However, watch out, because this now means Riyad Mahrez will now score. So I'm going to go Raheem Sterling. I'm going to go 2-1 City. I think they're way too strong for United.
Yeah, I think yet again it'll be a top 6 game. United will try and not lose. They'll try and sit back. They'll try and take the draw against the champions elect. I'm going to go 1-0 Man City. I think United are going to make it tough to break them down. I don't think they're going to have enough about them to score themselves. After you said that, I'm really tempted to say Mahrez, but I don't even remember a time that he started in the last few weeks, which is why I've just let you say him every week.
Don't go Mahrez, because he will score. Yeah, it will happen.
I feel like it's going to be one of those games where City throw everything at it and United just push it away. So I think it's going to be something ratty, like a penalty maybe, to split the two. Who's on the penalties though? That's tough on its own. Is it De Bruyne or Aguero now? I'm going to go Sergio Aguero. I think Aguero could be back on the pens. The only reason he hasn't been is because he's been injured for so long, I feel. So yeah, Aguero for me. And even if they don't get a pen, you wouldn't necessarily put your money against Aguero getting a few chances. So yeah, big surge for me in the Manc Derby as we come to the end of predictions. As we close out, please make sure to check out the rest of our platforms. YouTube, make sure you share it to anyone you know that would be interested in this sort of thing. Any footballing fans you know, shout it from the rooftops. Family members, friends, any of the like. Enemies, if you don't like us. A view counts as a view, I don't care. The Twitter's not been great recently. I haven't really done great on there. I need to keep updated with that. Get more polls on the line. I think I'm going to put the 2 lists out of our top 5 goals. Create a poll, see who wins this week out of us two. And follow back on that next week at PTTO Pod on Twitter. And TikTok's flying. We've had over 250 likes on 3 TikToks. I've been very impressed,
so Jack. I've been very impressed.
What can I say? I knew hyping it up was worth something. Please follow us on there. You're more likely to find some content on there at Pick That One Out on TikTok. Well then, Breakfast Club. Big expectations on this bacon sarnie. Is it a table topper? Let's find out. Will, what is it? What are we saying?
Well, look, I'm going to go with an 8.5 here, Jack. I'm going to tell you for why.
Okay.
I made it in a bit of advance of the podcast.
Oh no, so the temperature.
Yeah, it was quite chilled. And then also, the seeded loaf did come back to bite me. I felt myself chomping on seeds as I was hearing you hunker down on your predictions. And I thought, I can't. This is just ruining the whole vibe. I think there's going to be a moment when people watch back where I go for a nibble. I end up taking out a whole piece of the bacon. It was just carnage dealing with it. But as the professional like I am, I didn't bring any didn't make it obvious at all. So yeah, look out for that one during the episode. That does happen. But
At least 8.
I would go 8.5 today.
Yeah, so Panaraison still king of the bunch then on the table.
It was good. It was good.
Well, what could have been if it was just a bit of plain white bread, eh? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see next week if we can beat the French in the breakfast game.
Absolutely.
That's full time on episode 7 then. Thank you for joining me, Will. We will see you next week for the Big 8, episode 8. We'll see you then. Take care. Thank you.